by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
More than 8,000 firefighters continue to battle two deadly fires burning across California. I'm Chris Martinez in Calabasas with how weather is complicating the fight.
And local vets sound off with the problems and successes of the Veterans Administration. What they're saying, that's all coming up.
6:30 on this Tuesday. Chet Lehman, Missy O'Malley with you. Matt has our forecast in a moment. Top story this half hour, the death toll continues to rise in Northern California, where the campfire has been raging since last week. At
least 42 people have been confirmed dead, and officials are not sure how many more are still missing. And in Southern California, high winds are complicating the battle against the Woolsey fire. CBS's Chris Martinez is in a neighborhood of Calabasas where a number of homes were destroyed.
The search for the missing continues in Northern California.
We're now at a point where we're going to bring in human remains detector dogs, or what often referred to as cadaver dogs.
Some residents haven't been heard from since flames tore through the town of Paradise on Thursday.
We've got so many people missing of our neighbors. Our neighbors are gone.
Reggie Elizabeth Graywolf lived here at a mobile home park that's now destroyed. Many of her neighbors are elderly and disabled.
Hazel's 99 years old. She's still missing.
The campfire is the deadliest and most destructive in California's history. Donations have poured in, but places to stay are still hard to find.
Just parked, sleeping in their cars, because there's nowhere to go.
30 to 50,000 people up there. We all have to go someplace.
Here in Southern California, hundreds of homes have been destroyed by the Woolsey fire. High Santa Ana winds are complicating efforts to battle the blaze.
We're still in a red flag weather right now. We're expecting up to 40-mile-per-hour winds through Tuesday.
Two other fires broke out west of Los Angeles yesterday when the winds picked up. Firefighters from other parts of the country are coming in to help.
We haven't seen stuff like this in Texas, but we're sending the best of the best. And we're well trained.
President Trump approved a major disaster declaration to help with the recovery effort. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Calabasas, California.
Now, President Trump tweeted last night that he wanted to respond quickly in order to alleviate some of the incredible suffering going on. Over the weekend, he blamed California's forest management for the massive and deadly wildfires.
Now, the Camp Fire in California, now the most destructive fire in that state's history. MTN's Margaret DeMarco has more from a California resident who's watching the destruction from hundreds of miles away from right here in Montana.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
When Jordan Bush heard about a possible fire back home, he texted his dad right away.
Asked if you guys were okay, and he said no, not really, and that they were evacuating.
His dad was rushing back to Paradise, California to get his 18-year-old sister.
And they just left from there. Didn't really have any time because it was moving so fast.
But for Bush, to watch these events in California unfold from far away is not easy. Bush is a part of the 341st Security Forces Squadron at Malmstrom Air Force Base.
It's really hard. As much as I want to go home, I know I can't just because I don't have anywhere to go to, really.
Bush said he was starting to get really nervous when they sent him pictures and videos.
I'm so scared right now. So terrified.
He says his dad and sister were stuck on one of the roads out of their neighborhood for about 45 minutes.
She's telling me a story about how she had to run over a box because she was so packed in and she was worried about the box catching on fire.
His parents, brother, and sister all made it out safely along with their pets.
We're 100% sure that it's gone. We haven't had any confirmation, but all my parents' friends that live up there have gotten confirmation, and that whole town is leveled.
He says the airmen at Malmstrom have been supporting him through this ordeal.
They've been amazing, so it's a second family. So I'm really thankful for them.
In Great Falls, Margaret DeMarco, MTN News.
Now, Bush says even though they lost everything, he is thankful his family made it out alive.
Absolutely, as are we.
Terrifying stuff there.
Terrifying.
I can't imagine being stationed elsewhere. I mean, that's just another one of the things our active military folks have to deal with somewhere else when something's going on and they're not able to go and help do that at that time.
Their families and everything.
We wish him the best and his family the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A little chilly this morning, kind of changing subjects a bit on you. Temperatures remain cool. It's not as cold as it was yesterday for most areas. 8 below in West Yellowstone. That's 10 degrees warmer than it was at this point yesterday. The good part of the good news is we don't have a lot of wind to deal with. You can see the flag really not waving there in Bozeman. Very light wind in Butte, but it still feels like it's 3 below in the mining city. We do have a warm up on the way. We'll talk more about that from the Billion Auto Weather patio coming up in about 10 minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Just ahead of 6:35 now on this Tuesday. All through the midterm elections, veterans and veteran affairs were hot button topics. We talked with local veterans to find out what they thought about this key issue in the election and what they think are the biggest issues they face as veterans.
They actually need to take the Veterans Administration off the political football field because they keep playing around with it and trying to make political statements with it instead of just working for veterans.
Legislation is in place to do what they need to do. Now the thing is it's got to get funded and they got to get staffed. And those are not very easy to do. They're the important things to do.
I'm going to the VA for my medical care. They've been very good to me. The only thing that I think needs to be improved on is the speed in which they make things happen.
I think the biggest thing is to reach out more to the older vets that aren't as aware as the newer vets of what is available and what can be done for them.
Now, everyone we talked with said they believe Montana does more than most states for its veterans, but there's still so much more work that needs to be done.
And newly elected Montana legislatures will choose their party leadership in Helena this week for the 2019 legislature. Now, in the State House, both Republican and Democrats will be choosing the first-time leaders. MTN's Mike Dennison has our story.
Republicans control the House majority once again next year and will be choosing a new Speaker of the House. Candidates for the top spot are Representatives Greg Hertz of Polson and Nancy Balance of Hamilton. If Balance wins, she'd be the first female Speaker of the House in Montana history. House Democrats will choose between Representatives Casey Schreiner of Great Falls and Tom Woods of Bozeman for Minority Leader. In the state Senate, also controlled by Republicans, the current president, Republican Scott Sales of Bozeman, and Minority Leader, Democrat John Sesso of Butte, are running for their positions again. Sesso is unopposed, but Sales will face opposition from the current Senate Majority Leader, Republican Fred Thomas of Stevensville. Party caucuses will vote for their 2019 leaders at meetings Wednesday morning at the state capitol. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
The 2019 legislature convenes on January 7th.
We're going to shift gears just a little bit. Classes canceled today at Havre High School up on the High Line. Just after 5:30 last evening, a high school Havre High staff member reported a specific threat was written on the wall of a boys' bathroom. Havre Public Schools website says the threat was reported to law enforcement. School's website says classes will resume Wednesday with extra safety measures in place.
And Montana's scenic landscapes and laid-back culture have made it a very welcoming place to call home for artists looking to hone in their craft.
In particular, Montana's capital city is home to a long legacy for those working in the ceramic arts. In this week's Montana Made, MTN's Jacob Fuhrer shows us the Archie Bray Foundation.
Looks good.
The process is relatively simple. Artists take clay, spend time molding it using water and binders, and then fire it in a kiln to make a rigid product. But the end creations are much more complicated, blending different colors, forms, sizes, materials, and complexities. Some art is functional, others purely aesthetic. At the Archie Bray Foundation for the Ceramic Arts, all types of art is embraced. The Bray is a special place for artists to take up residency and let their creativity flow.
It was founded with a very simple mission to, for all those sincerely and seriously interested in the ceramic arts, a fine place to work.
Started in 1951, originally as a brick-making business, the old buildings and kilns can still be seen on the grounds, a historic graveyard of sorts. Now, the Bray is somewhat of an epicenter for ceramic arts across the country. Resident artist-director Stephen Lee came from Chicago in the 90s to work at the Bray.
There's been a pattern of people who come to the Bray from elsewhere, from outside the state, and then they decide to stay and live here.
Each year, the Bray is home to about 30 artists. In total, there have been more than 600 to walk the halls here, each leaving their own unique mark.
The Treasure State's geography and remoteness may have a lot to do with attracting creative types from across the country.
I think the landscape and the kind of access to nature certainly bleeds into some people's work.
There's also another feature of the Bray not found at most other artist in residency programs. Just across from the art studios, the very factory where the clay is made.
So that is one thing that's really unique about this place. It's usually the opposite. And the residents, they love it because they only have to walk from there to here to get whatever they want.
The Archie Bray Clay Biz takes custom orders from artists if the request is possible. The Biz pumps out about 20 different types of clay, totaling more than 476 tons of clay each year, distributed coast to coast.
I think the Bray, in a way, has really been a place that has played a very significant role in the development of contemporary ceramic art in this country.
And after facing financial troubles, Montanans came to the rescue, making it a truly Montana-made business.
There were many points where, when money was tight or, some event would occur that this place could have just gone under and disappeared, but there were a lot of people who were very dedicated to seeing it succeed and saw the value of it early on.
In Helena, Jacob Fuhrer, MTN News.
Now, Lee said ceramic art is having a moment, becoming more visible and getting more exposure. We have more details about getting involved with the Bray on our websites.
I didn't know Bray made their own clay.
Bray clay, I had no
How
idea
neat is
either. I
that?
love that. I think that's cool.
What a cool story.
Yep.
We do have to take a quick break. Coming up in a moment, a story we've been following for weeks, a rare polio-like virus that's been paralyzing and killing young people for months now. How the CDC is allegedly covering up, and now there are new information and warning signs for families.
We have that story in a moment, but first here's Bianna Goladriga to see what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, California firefighters say the deadly wildfires are the worst in the state in a century. Hear from volunteers, including a former Marine and his team of fire trackers helping first responders. And Chris Van Cleve shows us how new cars know more about you than you think and where the information may end up. We'll see you at 7.